The wait is finally over. We have the Sizzle season mid-update balance patch. It is finally here. We have all the patch notes so we can see what balance changes and adjustments Nintendo is making, the nerfs, the buffs, and all the information that you want to know. So we're going to go through all of that in this video. I'm going to go through each and every piece of information that we've got. Let's jump right into this. So starting us off, we have some fixes to multiplayer. Specifications for some main weapons have changed. Aerospray MG and RG reduce the amount of ink consumed by approximately 9%. Splattershot, Tentatek Splattershot, and Hero Shot Replica reduce the scatter of shots while on land by approximately 17%. This also includes mid-air shot scatter reduction from the Intensify Action gear ability. The mid-air ink scatter will now be closer to the effect while shooting on land. NZAP 85 and 89 reduce the scatter of shots while on land by approximately 17%. This also includes mid-air shot scatter reduction from the Intensify Action gear ability. The mid-air ink scatter will now be closer to the effect while shooting on land. Splattershot Pro and Forge Splattershot Pro increase the radius of the ink splatter at the point of impact by approximately 8%. Lunar Blaster and Lunar Blaster Neo reduce the scatter of shots mid-air by approximately 25%. Also made mid-air shot scatter reduction from the Intensify Action gear ability easier to activate even when a smaller number of gear abilities. The mid-air ink scatter will now be closer to the effect while shooting on land. The effect gained from equipping the maximum number of Intensify Action gear abilities will not change. Dynamo Roller reduce the amount of time it takes the ink to begin recovering after a horizontal or vertical swing by about 1/6 of a second. Paintbrush reduce the amount of ink consumed when swinging the brush by approximately 25%. I know a lot of people who are going to be very happy about that one. Reduce the amount of ink consumed when holding the ZR button to paint while moving ahead by approximately 25%. Another one that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be very happy about. GooTuber adjusted the display indicating the charge amount to make it easier to tell when it will exceed 100.0 damage dealt. Bloblobber increased the radius of ink splatter at the point of impact and from ink spray by approximately 10%. Tri-Stringer increased the damage dealt to opponents by the explosion of shots lodged in the terrain from 28.0 to 30.0. Increased movement speed while charging and while fully charged by approximately 13%. Now we're moving on. Specification for some sub-weapons have changed. Sprinkler extended the duration of the state where the ink is the strongest immediately after placement by approximately 3 seconds. Angle Shooter increased the damage dealt to opponents by direct hits from 35.0 to 40.0. Specifications for some special weapons have changed. Trizooka increased the damage dealt by explosions from 40.0 to 60.0. Inkvac increased the radius of the ink shot explosion by approximately 50% when the amount of the opponent's ink was sucked up is at its minimum. Increased the radius of the ink shot explosion by approximately 25% when the amount of the opponent's ink that was sucked up is at its maximum. Super Chump increased the amount of damage dealt to players caught in an explosion near a decoy from 60.0 to 70.0 and increased the radius of that area by approximately 38%. Increase the radius of the decoy explosion area that deals 35.0 damage by approximately 20%. Inkjet decreased the radius of the explosion area that deals 50.0 damage by approximately 15%. No changes to the radius of the area that deals 30% damage. Moving on, points required for some special weapons have changed. Clash Neo Blaster has gone from 180 to 170. Carbon Roller has also gone from 180 to 170. And once again, we have the Rapid Blaster Pro going from 180, but this time upwards to 190. The Tri-Slosher Nouveau from 180 to 190. Mini Splatling once again from 180 to 190. And then Ballpoint Splatling from 200 to 210. Now, interestingly, there is another change here which I wasn't quite expecting. Changes to lobby made it possible to join a room even when a private battle is in progress if there is a spot available. In this case, the new player will be able to participate with the next battle. So this is kind of a new feature in a way which I definitely was not expecting with a balance update. I definitely think that's an exciting little change and definitely a positive one that I'm glad to see, honestly. So yeah, that's really great to see. This update focuses on making tweaks to multiplayer. We have improved certain weapons to make them easier to use and modified some less popular weapons to be a bit closer to popular weapons in performance. We hope this will encourage a wider selection of weapons usage. Additionally, we have made adjustments to some sub-weapons to make them easier to use in conjunction with main weapons. We have also adjusted some special weapons. In addition to similar adjustments mentioned above to encourage a wider selection of usage, we've dialed back the performance of some special weapons that have been modified in the past. Their specifications are now closer to the original weapon specifications. We plan on releasing the next update at the end of the current season. It'll focus primarily on further weapon balance adjustments and adding features for new seasons starting in December. So honestly, my overall thoughts on this update is that it's a pretty positive one. I definitely think there are some really good changes in here that people have been asking for. Some that particularly stick out to me are the ones with the paintbrush. These are really great. I had a lot of people in my comments hoping that the paintbrush would get some of these improvements. So I think that is great. I mean, I don't know how far this will necessarily go. I'm not a paintbrush user as such, but I could see these being really positive, honestly. Another that definitely seems like a great one to me is the fact that the angle shooter has got a slight improvement. You know, not an absolutely massive one, but hey, it's something, and I definitely think that's a good step in the right direction. After all, the angle shooter is probably one of the least used and most underrated sub-weapons in my opinion, so yeah, I definitely think that is pretty good. The sprinkler change is also really good too. Extended the duration of the state where the ink is the strongest immediately after placement by approximately 3 seconds. 3 seconds is nothing to laugh at, honestly. I feel like that's a pretty decent change. Again, is it as much as it could be? I don't know, but I think that's pretty decent. And another one that really sticks out to me that I'm super happy about is the improvements to Super Chump. This is great. This is something I'm really happy about. I don't know if they could have done a better sort of buff to the Super Chump for me personally. I feel like these are great. I mean, increase the radius of the decoy explosion area that deals 35.0 damage by approximately 20%. That feels fairly significant to me, as does this change too. It's really great, I think. And there aren't honestly too many nerfs in this update, I feel like. It's actually more focusing on buffs. I know a lot of people have been saying that currently the meta feels like it's at its best in a long time. And hopefully this will just support that even more. I'm glad that Nintendo didn't go too crazy, maybe, you know, nerfing lots of things that maybe didn't need to be. And we've seen that a little bit in the past, although I tend to feel like it's more the case that with these updates, we just see more kind of small corrections to things rather than huge changes. But I don't know. In my opinion, this has been a really positive update. There's some great stuff in here that I think a lot of people are going to be happy about. And a new feature too, which is definitely cool. So yeah, of course, the next major update will be in September when we get the new season, the Drizzle season, I believe it will be. And it could be the game's anniversary updates. That should be a fairly significant one. There's also a ton of bug fixes now. I'm not going to read these all out because there are just so many and it will take absolutely ages to go through all of them one by one. And I'm not so sure that everyone is as interested in that. But definitely be sure to check out the link to the patch notes down in the description of the video. I'll make sure to leave that so you can. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing for more videos. Also, comment Splat Gang if you made it to the end.